the channel. So, I thought I'd show you something a bit different today. It's not going to be a long video because I'm technically working. And what I thought I'd show you is what I do in my spare time a little bit. So, it's not my full-time job, but I'm a part-time instructor for a company called Oxfordshire Motorcycle Training, which are based in Oxfordshire, surprise, surprise, also known as OXMT Quick Start. Now, I've been doing this since about 2019. As I say, I don't do it all the time. I do have a full-time job, which is enough to keep me busy. But it's nice to come out and do a little bit of training and look at some new motorcyclists and get new motorcyclists on the road, which is what I'm really sort of passionate about doing. And what I've done today is I've come up to the Unipart site in Oxford, and this is where OXMT run CBT sessions and Mod 1 training sessions for everybody who wants to come and do their licence, do their tests. Yeah, so as you can see, really, really nice, big, spacious site. I see Unipart building down the bottom there. And over on the right-hand side of me, or to the right-hand side of me, we've got the CBT session being run by our instructor Stu. And then over this side of the car park, we've got the Mod 1 session, which is being run today by our instructors Carl and Wayne. So what the Mod 1 guys are doing, which is who I'm kind of working with today, is they're doing their training ready for their tests next week. So what we do with the Mod 1 is we set up the car park to mirror what the exam will look like, or what the Mod 1 test will look like. And these guys are just going to practice going around some cones today and doing the manoeuvres. So what they do is they start off with all the slow sort of handling manoeuvres or slow riding manoeuvres. So you have the manual handling, you have the U-turn, the slow ride, the slalom, and then the figure eight. Now all these guys that are doing this Mod 1 session today will already have had CBTs. So they would have already done their compulsory basic training, which is what the guys over there with Stuart are doing this morning. So these guys are just going basically from 125s up to, either A2, which is a restricted licence, or onto a full A category licence where you can ride any bike of any sort of power. So so I just thought it's something a bit different. It's not going to be to everyone's tastes, but let's keep it fresh, have new ideas, try things out. It's a new channel after all, and and it might just help somebody if you're not quite sure about what to expect. It might just help you. So so stay tuned. As I say, it won't be a long one, but let's just see if I can impart some wisdom on you all. So the guys are just getting their brief today, and they're just talking about the first manoeuvre they're going to have to do, which is going to be their manual handling. So Carl is just going through it with the candidates, and then Wayne, the other instructor, is just doing the demonstration. And what we do is we always demonstrate to our students what we want them to do. So it's really important when you're training people that they understand what you're asking them to do, especially when they're swinging their leg over a motorcycle for the first time, or a motorcycle that's a lot larger capacity than perhaps what they're used to, because as you guys know, twisting the throttle on an 800cc bike is a little bit different to twisting the throttle on a 125. And if you get that wrong, you're going to know about it pretty sharpish, aren't you? And it's not just about the power though, it's the weight as well. It's the weight of the bike. Most 125s, don't weigh that much really. But the weight difference between the 125 and the 800 is quite significant. I mean, you might be looking at anywhere between sort of 40 and 50 kilos maybe, a difference depending on what 125 you've been riding and what big bike you're going on to. Now what we've got on the fleet at the school in terms of the DAS bikes, the direct access bikes, is we've got the Royal Enfield Gorilla 450. That's the A2 bike, so that's got the restrictor on it, so that's for people that are running for the A2 licence. And just a word on that Gorilla actually, what a bloody great bike that is. 450 engine, I think it's got the same engine as the Himalayan, the 450 Himi. And I've just ridden that up here. Nothing spectacular. I've just ridden it from Kidlington, King's Two Wheel Centre in Kidlington, and brought it up here. But that's a fantastic little motorcycle, quite like that. Are we looking at number 5 in the fleet, do you think? Is that getting a bit ridiculous? 4's ridiculous. I've not got enough room for 4. But, anyway, I like that bike, Gorilla, it's nice. And then the other bikes we've got are the GSX 8S. But yeah, nice looking bikes. And quite easy to ride as well. So very learner friendly. And if you have just passed your test and you're not sure what to go for, you wouldn't go far wrong with one of those. And even if you were just going to keep it for like a year, you know, I understand that a lot of people, they pass their test and they might want to get onto something a bit bigger and a bit faster and everything. But, you know, if you're cutting your teeth on a big bike, first 2 years are quite critical, really, in my opinion anyway. So, yeah, so they're an option, aren't they? You'll get all of us instructors, we all teach in the very same way. Very relaxed. Obviously, it's a serious thing, learning to ride a motorcycle. We all know what happens when it goes wrong. So it is a serious thing, and there is serious elements to it. But we try and make the sessions fun for everybody. We try and make them enjoyable because, hey, that's what you know. That's why you're riding bikes, isn't it? You're riding bikes because it's fun. We wouldn't ride bikes if it wasn't fun, you know. So yeah, let's get these guys through their test. Let's give them the tools that they need and the confidence that they need to go with their skill set as they develop. But let's make it fun for people, you know. Let's make it fun. And I'm all about fun. I'm not actually. Most of the time I'm a miserable sod. Especially if I'm on that 390. If you haven't seen that video, yeah, go back and watch it. I wasn't the happiest, I don't think, on that video. I'm happier today. So, yeah. The guys are in full swing now for the practicing. So you've got one lad over there doing his figure 8. So what they do is they go up this slalom. So they go past the yellow cones here, slalom all the way up through the yellow cones, and then at the top you've got the blue cones. And then you do your figure 8 around the blue cones. So you've got these guys practicing that. You've got these guys over here, they're doing their manual handling, part of the course. So yeah, beautiful blue skies today, guys. It has been absolutely persisting it down for the last week. And so yeah, so it's good that these guys can get a bit of dry bike time in. It is good to train in the wet sometimes, but yeah, it's just kind of, nobody likes riding in the wet, do they? I don't mind it, to be fair, but you know, if you're going to choose, you're always going to choose a dry day, aren't you? So yeah, looking good. Guys looking good. A few nerves out there amongst them, but that's to be expected. A lot of these guys either haven't been on a bike for a little while or they're just coming off 125. So obviously, as I said before, jumping on these bikes, you know, even a modest bike like the Royal Enfield Gorilla, the 450. I mean, like I said, I rode that up here. I was quite impressed with the acceleration on it, actually. What is it, 40 odd horsepower, something like that? I can see why people say that the Scram 411 would be mega with the 450 engine. I must admit, I was riding the Gorilla up thinking, well, yeah, put that engine into my Scram, and yeah, we'd be away, wouldn't we? Might even sell the big bikes. Nah. This is the CBT session. I'm not going to get too involved with that because I'm not part of that today. I don't want to disturb the guys. But they'll all be on either 125s or 50cc bikes today. So those guys are literally just starting out. Yeah. So the guys on the CBT then, so they're now just going around. So I'll just spin you around and show you those guys. So they're just having a little spin about. So the CBTs are done and operated a little bit differently. So with a CBT course, it's not actually a pass or fail course. You can't technically fail a CBT. You hear a lot of people online talking about, oh, I failed my CBT, or I did this, did that. Yeah, you can't fail a training session. But what you can do is not be at the required standard by the end of it. And what the CBT instructors have to do is to determine whether you are at the required standard to pass this training session. If you're not, certainly with OXMT, you'll be invited back to come and have another go. Now, you don't necessarily have to do the whole course again. It depends on which bit that you couldn't get your head around. So it might be that there's 5 elements. It might be that there's only one element that you couldn't get your head around. Well, that's the only element you're going to have to do to come back. or when you come back. So you're not going to sit through a whole session again, unless you want to. Some people want to, and that's fair enough, isn't it? So what they do with the CBT is there's 5 elements. 3 of those elements are sort of theory based. So the element A is to do with all of your safety equipment, so your clothing. So what we will do here is we won't let anybody train if they're not wearing adequate clothing. So that is motorcycle specific clothing, which is rated, because if they come off, they're going to get hurt. So element A talks about all of that kind of stuff. Element B basically goes through the controls of the machine and some other bits and pieces, manual handling, and sort of basic maintenance checks on the bikes, so that you know that you're taking bikes out which are going to be legal and you're not going to get tripped up by having a bulb out or a tyre that's not inflated correctly. Element C is all of your kind of riding that you do on the CBT on the pad, on what we call the training pad here, and that will encompass things like gear changes, stopping and starting the machine, figure 8, U-turn, junctions, and some other bits and pieces in the CBT that you'll be expected to do. So what these guys are doing now is they're just getting used to starting their element C, so they're just getting used to the throttle control. Those are those guys that are on their geared machine, so the white one here and the red one over there. They'll be practicing their clutch control. This will all be done in first gear. And then the rider on the 50cc automatic scooter at the back, that rider will just be getting used to applying a little bit of rear brake to control the speed of the machine and getting used to that throttle control. And then once they finish that element, they'll go on to element D, which is another theory-based element. And then after they've done that, they go on to element E, and that is their road ride. So they'll be out with the CBT instructor that you can see there. They'll be out with him 2-to-1, and he will take them out for a 2-hour road ride. And in that 2-hour road ride, you just implement all of the skills that you've learned in here this morning, providing you can show the examiner that after that element E and that road ride, that you're safe and that you can implement all of the skills and all of the things that you've been taught during the morning. They will sign a certificate and you will be signed off, ready to go. If you're 16, you will be capped to a 50cc bike, but if you're over 16, you can ride anything up to a 125. You must display L plates, front and rear, and no pillions, so no taking passengers if you're on L plates. You need a full licence for that. So yeah, that's what those guys will be doing this afternoon. So we'll just take a closer look at the CBT session going on here. So as I said, these guys are brand new to it, so their session is run slightly differently to the Mod 1. So what we got here is our instructor demonstrating the figure 8. So we demo everything, guys. We never ask you to do something that we're not prepared to do ourselves, and we'll always demo what we're after, because everybody's got sort of different learning styles, haven't they? And sometimes words and instructions aren't enough for some people. Some people are sort of visual learners. So for them to actually be able to see somebody do something helps them to then be able to achieve that standard themselves. And I'm a bit like that. I like to see things done before I ever go myself. It's just your learning skill. That's all, your learning style.
So you see how the level control change. When I use purely throttle control, it's quite lumpy and bumpy. As soon as I put the clutch in, that smooths the lumps out and maybe have more control.
And you can learn on any bike, you can learn on any bike really, but the thing is, it needs to be something that's easy to do these manoeuvres on. And a lot of people, myself included, when you first start riding, you want to go on the sports bikes, don't you? That's what I was always, sports bikes. It's all I was interested in. And I wanted a sports bike. I remember my first CBT, and I was absolutely terrified. I was a bit of a late starter. I think I was about 17. I was so desperate to be a biker. And I just couldn't get on with the geared machine at all. And I didn't drive at the time either. And my instructor, and I'll never forget him, and he saved my biking life. my instructor did, because he said to me, he said, he said, why are you trying to run before you can walk? You've got this motorcycle underneath you, which you're afraid of, basically, and I was. He said, you don't drive, so you've got no experience on the road. Surely, logic would say to you that you bypass the 125 and you go on the scooter. Oh man, I was dead against it. I wanted to be a biker, I'm not going on automatic, rah, 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 rah. And then I sort of just checked myself and thought, hang on, this guy's speaking from experience. You know nothing, you're 17, listen to what he's saying, telling you, take his advice. You haven't got to keep a scooter for that long, keep it 6 months. It's about confidence, building your confidence, building your skill set. And yeah, thankfully, I listened to him. My friend was, at the time, was selling a Yamaha Aerox 50cc bike, ped, scooter, whatever you want to call it. And I bought that off him and I rode that. I was at college in Newbury at the time and I rode that to and from college. And I kept it for about 18 months, guys. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I was zooming around all over. Yeah, I fell off of it a few times, nothing major, but I loved it. And when I was eventually ready to go up to a bike, I bought an Aprilia RS125. And back in my day, if you were into sort of your 125 sports bikes, you either had the Aprilia, you had the Honda NSR 125, or the Cagiva Mito. The Cagiva Mito was basically like a 916 Ducati replica, absolutely mega bike, 2-stroke. The Aprilia was 2-stroke, and I believe the Honda was a 4-stroke. And the guy who I bought the scooter off of, he bought the Cagiva Mito, and then I had the Aprilia, and then another guy that we used to work with had the NSR 125. So we used to line up outside the work building with these 3 125cc sports bikes. It was mega. It was really, really cool. And anyway, I loved my Aprilia. It blew up. It blew up in the end, but I loved that bike. It was really good. So yeah, so sometimes you've got to let your ego go, and you know, not an easy thing to do when you're 17 years of age. But sometimes you've got to let your ego go and think, you're not changing your plans, you're just changing your timeline. And that's what I did. I just changed my timeline. I just decided to give myself a few extra months to get used to being on the road, you know, without the hassle of being frightened of a bike, not being able to ride a geared bike properly, all of them things. And it actually, well, without question, it saved my biking life, without question. Had I have not taken that chap's advice that day, that instructor's advice, I don't think I would have ever swung my leg over a motorcycle again. And that's quite a scary thought, guys, given how big motorcycles are in my life. They're the biggest part of my life, my motorcycles. And yeah, the thought of the last 24 years of being without them, I don't know where I would have ended up, who knows. But yeah, so don't put too much pressure on yourself. Go to your sessions, listen to your instructors, take on board their advice. At least consider their advice. Even if you don't act on it, at least consider their advice, because they are the ones with the experience at the end of the day.
32, then your approach speed is up and down. Yeah, do that from slightly north of it. Alright, but it's starting to be on and off, on and off. It's all just about 5 at one point, I kind of smell it out. Look at it. Don't worry, it's slightly high. As long as you're stopping comfortably. I didn't hear the clutch out right now, about it.
Whoa. Ever so light as to touch. That's the first time he's hit the speed, isn't it? So with the test now, for those of you that are possibly like myself who did the motorcycle test, you know, a good 20 odd year ago, maybe even 25, 30 year ago, maybe even longer. Back in sort of when I did my test, so I passed my test in, when was it? 2006, I think it was. And I've been riding on, you know, CBTs and 125s and stuff for 3 or 4 years. I think I did 2 CBTs. which lasted me the 4 years. But anyway, when I did my test, it was just a case of going out with an examiner, and you did all the stuff on the road. So there was no such thing as mod 1, mod 2. It was just your test, and that was it. Whereas now what the guys have got to do is they've got to do the module 1, which is done in a static environment, a controlled environment, which is all your slow maneuver type stuff. They've got to do that test, and then in order for them to progress on to their mod 2 test, which is the road riding element of the test, they have to pass this first. And obviously the relevant theory test needs to be taken before they come and do the mod 1 as well. So the test nowadays is basically 2 modules and a theory test. So we've reached the end of the session. So all the guys have been through all of their manoeuvres now. They're all set, ready to go next week on test day. So I hope you've enjoyed that video. It's a little bit different, and it's not something that's going to be on the channel regular. But I just thought it's an opportunity to show you guys who don't know what it's like to do the test, what it's like to do the training, what you can expect. And it doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be stressy. It's always going to be slightly stressy because you're doing a test, but it can be fun. It can be fun with the training as well, and you get a nice day. Even though it's still sort of mid-Feb and it's pretty cold, got a beautiful sunny day. Come up, meet some like-minded people. Bikers are always lovely. It don't matter if you've got 50 years on a bike or 5 minutes. Everybody who rides a motorcycle is from a certain, they've got a certain character, and I've been riding for 24 years, and I've been doing this job for seven years, and I've never met somebody, be it in the job, doing the job, or socially, I've never met anybody who wants to ride a motorcycle that turns out to be a twerp, Everybody who rides bikes generally cut from the same cloth, decent, lovely people, friendly, happy to chat. Yeah, it's cracking. So if you haven't done it and you're thinking about doing it, then get yourself booked on a course, no matter where you are in the country. Obviously, if you're in Oxfordshire or within stone's throw of Oxfordshire, come and see OXMT. Get booked on with us, guys. Come and meet me, because I'm famous now, I got stickers. You can put a sticker on your bikes. Cool. It's fine with me. But in all seriousness, get your test done, guys. It's the best thing you'll ever do. So I'm going to wrap the video up here. I'm going to have a little go on one of these Suzukis on the way back, I think. I've not had a ride on one of these yet. So we might have a little go on the old 8S on the way back. So thanks very much for tuning in. Next video will be out probably in about a week's time. Got some good ideas for the videos, as I said earlier, coming through. So we just keep plugging away, keep working at the old editing, keep trying to keep things exciting and fresh, and thanks very much as always for joining and tuning in. I will see you guys on the next one.